6 through 14. And it reads, Then the children of Judah came unto Joshua in Gilgal, and Caleb, the son of Jephunneh, the Kenizzite, said unto him, Thou knowest the thing that the Lord said unto Moses, the man of God, concerning me and thee in Kadesh Barnea. 40 years old was I when Moses, the servant of the Lord, sent me from Kadesh Barnea to espy out the land. And I brought him word again, as it was in mine heart. Nevertheless, my brethren that went up with me made the heart of the people melt. But I wholly followed the Lord my God. And Moses sware on that day, saying, Surely the land whereon thy feet have trodden shall be thine inheritance, and thy children's forever, because thou hast wholly followed the Lord my God. And now behold, the Lord has kept me alive. And he said, These 45 years, even since the Lord spake this word unto Moses, while the children of Israel wandered in the wilderness. And now, lo, I am this day 85 years old, yet I am as strong this day as I was in the day that Moses sent me. And my strength was then, even so in my strength now war, both to go out and to come in. Now therefore give me this mountain whereof the Lord spake in that day, for thou heardest in that day how the Anakims were there, and that the cities were great and fenced. If so be the Lord will be with me, then I shall be able to drive them out, as the Lord said. And Joshua blessed him, and gave unto Caleb, the son of Jephunneh, Hebron for an inheritance. Hebron therefore became the inheritance of Caleb, the son of Jephunneh, the Kenizzite, unto this day, because he wholly followed the Lord God of Israel. And if I could use for a subject message on today, I would like to use for a subject message, stand out. Stand out. God, we thank you. We love you. We adore you. God, we thank you for this word. God, we thank you right now as we open up every opportunity that we have to come before your presence. God, we ask that you do what you do best as only you can, and that is to be God. God, we thank you for this word. We thank you for your people that will hear this word. God, I decree and declare that this word will be good ground. Not only is it going to be good ground, God, but this word will produce fruit for your glory. God, I decree right now that deliverance will happen because of your word. God, I decree right now that healing will happen because of this word. God, I decree right now that somebody's strength, God, is being, God, empowered and increased even more because of this word. God, we thank you for it. Now I decrease and I ask that you supersede every one of my efforts for your glory in the matchless name of your son, Jesus the Christ. Amen. Again, our subject message today is stand out. And standing out is something that is never easy. Standing out is like having the solo at the concert. It's okay if you make a mistake while everybody is singing corporately, because nobody really hears you but you. Have you ever done that? You've been singing corporately and you either forgot the words to the song, or either you were singing the wrong verse in the song, but you didn't really trip about it. You didn't really like get all nervous about it because you were singing corporately. You were singing with everybody. You was in unison with everybody. So if you really messed up, didn't nobody really know it but you, and you still held your head up high and you said, I'm gonna keep on singing anyway. Didn't nobody really hear me mess up. I'm just singing to God anyway. But it's a little bit different when you have a solo solo and you got the mic in your hand, and then everybody gets to see you mess up because now you have this solo part, or you have this speech, and now everybody gets to see you mess up. And so being a standout is something like that. It's like having the solo in the concert, and all eyes are on you. And depending how much you stand out, I want you to catch this. Depending on how much you stand out will also determine how much pressure that comes from that decision to stand out. Did somebody just catch that? Depending on how much of a standout you really are, that will determine the amount of pressure that comes from that decision to be a standout. Ooh. And there are pros and cons to being a standout. And the difference is with being, when a person is sitting there and they're doing their pro and their cons list, the pros, they label out or they list out the things that are beneficial to them. But then when you get to the cons of it, you also have to list out the things that you have to do without. Has anybody ever made a list like that where you weigh out your pros and your cons? And this is what I have to gain from this. And this is what I have to lose from this. And sometimes it's not that the things that you have to go without are more important. It's just the fact that sometimes our withdrawals, come on here, the things that we really don't want to go without, but the things that we know we have to go without in order to embrace the cons of it, sometimes embrace the pros of it. It's sometimes out the withdrawal, come on, the going through the withdrawal symptoms of the cons. Watch this. We know the cons are not really that good for us, because those are the things that, they sometimes can work against us. They can work against us. And sometimes we know that it's okay and we're in a better position if we can go without those things. But it's just sometimes I just don't want to go through the withdrawal of going without them. Can anybody relate to that? I know I should. I know I should actually prioritize my pros over my cons, but I struggle with prioritizing what I need to do over what I don't want to go without. Oh, did somebody just catch that? Because sometimes we get stuck right there in that place. I know what's best for me, but I'm going through the withdrawals of not wanting to go without it. Ooh. And so therefore it causes you to not be the standout that God has called you and purposed you to be. And a person must decide whether they're going to prioritize the pros over their cons. I just want to say that again. Sometimes we know the things that we need to go without, but we struggle because we don't want to go through the withdrawals of going without them. And so therefore we get stuck. And if you, watch this, if you prioritize the cons, the things that you should go without, that you're not really wanting to go through the withdrawal symptoms of going without. If you prioritize the cons over the pros, you will most likely conform. Oh God, I hope somebody caught that. If you prioritize the cons over being the standout that God has called you to be, most likely you're going to conform. I hope you are catching that. I'm trying to put emphasis on how those two words go together, because if you prioritize your cons, C-O-N, then most likely you're going to conform, C-O-N-F-O-R-M. Did somebody just catch that? If you prioritize your cons over being the standout, then most likely you're going to conform. But if you prioritize your pros, if you prioritize your pros over that, over your cons, then most likely you're going to prosper. Has anybody ever seen the correlation and the relation of those two words? If you prioritize your pros, PROS, then most likely you're going to put yourself in a position that you are going to prosper. PROSPER. Mm. But if we prioritize our cons, then most likely we're going to conform and we're not going to be the standout that God has called us to be. That is one of the things that I oftentimes put in, and I put that disclaimer out there about social media. I tell people that you should limit your social media, because if you don't limit your social media intake, and if you don't manage the information that you are taking in, then most likely you're going to be conforming to things that you probably should not be conforming to, and you have this false narrative about what life really is. And then have you ever seen people that they have this thing now where they do challenges, where they have people doing something and then everybody follows it, and then most likely they're trying to compare who did it the best. So I want to actually extend a standout challenge to you on today, because I want to use Caleb, and we're going to use Joshua 14 verses 6 through 14, but we're going to use Caleb as the standout subject. And I want to see, is there anybody that's willing to live up to the challenge? Because we do all of these challenges on social media, but let me just tell you right here, right now, I have a challenge that I want to tell you about on today, and this is called the Standout Challenge. Come on here. I just want somebody to type that over in the chat section. Hashtag standout. Hashtag standout. The standout challenge. And in our text, we see and we read that Joshua is in charge, and Caleb has come to Joshua. Caleb has come to Joshua, and in our text, he was telling Joshua, he said, there was a promise that was made to me. And he said, when I was 40 years old, he said that Moses sent me to spy out the land. He said, not only did I go, he said, but there was 12 of us. I want y'all to understand this. There was 12 men that was sent to spy out the land for the children of Israel. They're in the wilderness, but nevertheless, they send a group of 12, and it was one representative from every tribe that was sent out. So therefore, it was 12 men that went out. And when the men went and they went to go spy out the land, there was giants in the land, but the land was also flowing with milk and honey. It was a good land, and it was a land that they could actually see themselves living in. It was a land that they said that we would love to live in, and it was a place that we really wanted to go. But the things that are in the land, I don't know if we can take on those things. I don't know if we can really handle those things. And their job was to go and to spy out the land and come back and give Moses the report. And out of the 12 people that went to go spy out the land, only Joshua came back and gave the report. It was him and Caleb. They came back and they gave the report to Moses. And we talked about this one Thursday night in Bible study. And you can find this in Numbers, where Joshua comes back and Caleb, they come back and they give Moses the report. Out of the 12 people, only 2 came back and said, I believe we can do it. Come on here. How many of you know that everybody in your circle and everybody that's walking with you are not going to be, if they're not going to be the ones? Everybody ain't going to tell you that they believe you can do it. Ooh, come on here. So if you're looking for everybody in your circle to tell you that you can do it, and to tell you that you can make it, and to tell you that you can overcome this, everybody in your circle ain't going to be the one. But watch this. All you need is a standout. Ooh, all you need is the standout that can tell you and that can encourage you that you can make it through this. All you need is the standout that can tell you that God is going to make a way for you. Oh my God. All you need is the standout to tell you, I don't care what everybody else is doing, and it looks like everybody else is prospering already, and it looks like everybody else is doing what they want to do. It looks like everybody else is finding their perfect love story, but I came to be your standout on today and tell you that God gonna do it for you too. Mm. I came to tell you, I came to be your standout to let you know that God is going to do that thing for you too. All you got to do is keep being the standout. Your standout came to tell the standout to stand out. Whew. Keep standing out. Keep living your life holy and acceptable unto God. And nevertheless, when they came back and they gave the report to Moses, only two people said that we can take it. Only two people agreed that we can do it. Out of, come on now, I want y'all to understand this. Out of 12 people, only two said that we can do it. Hmm? Stop being mad at people in your circle that ain't cheering you on. Sometimes that's a clear indication that you need to manage your circle a little bit better. Uh-oh. If they're not encouraging you to be the standout that God has called you to be, you might need to reevaluate your circle. And watch this. Sometimes you don't even got to be the one that reevaluates your circle. Because sometimes, how many of us know that God is reevaluating our circle for us? Because when they came back and they gave Moses the report, when they gave Moses the report, God spoke a word because these two men were the only men that said and agreed that God can do it. They didn't even say we can do it. They was basically saying we believe that God can do it because we already see that this thing is bigger than us. Come on here. We already see that they are stronger than us. But watch this. I believe. I came to let Life Meets the Word know that I believe we can still do it. Not because of the strength that lies within us, but because we serve a God that is able to do exceedingly and abundantly above all that we can ask or think. I don't care how much you think that your dream has died and you couldn't accomplish it, or it wasn't going to happen for you. I came to tell you that if you keep living holy and you keep being the standout that God has called you to be, I came to tell you that He gonna do it for you. And out of the 12, only two said, we can do it. God then sent the word to Moses and told Moses, he said, out of the 12, whoo, you want to know why some of the people are dying off in your life? Listen to what God told Moses. God said, out of the 12, only the two that came back and told you that we can do it, that I can do it, are going to be the only two that's going to inherit the promise. Oh God, they going to be the only two. See, watch it, because sometimes the enemy has you going and you're mentally struggling about what you're going to have to go without. And the reason that he wants you to focus on what you have to go without is because he does not want you to focus on what you're going to. Ooh, did somebody just catch that? This is why there's so much of a struggle for some of us sometimes to be the standout that God has called us to be, because now I'm thinking about what I'm going to have to go without. I'm going to be thinking about all the things that I can't do. I'm going to be thinking about all the withdrawal and all the lonely nights and, all the things that I can't go by anymore and all the things that I can't do anymore. But watch this. Sometimes, watch this, you have to shift your focus from what you are having to go without to what you are going to. Woo. And that's what Caleb had to do. Caleb had to say, yeah, oh my God, I don't even want to be a part of the crowd, because the majority of the people are even saying, and if we look at the scripture, he said the majority of the people are saying that we can't even do this. They're saying that God can't even do this. Do you know how many people said that God can't keep a single person? But he can. We got some witnesses up here right now that can testify that God is a keeper. Can I get my single people who are being kept by the power and the word of God, who are walking according to the word of God, to just give us some hands up? Let them know that you living holy for the Lord. Let them know that you are the standout. There they go. Y'all look at the screen. They popping up on the screen. They popping up on the screen. They telling you that God is a keeper. Let them see your hand go up again. Let them know that God is keeping you. Let them know that God is sustaining you. Let them know that yes, there are some lonely nights, but I came to be the standout that God has called me to be, because I'm not just focused on what I've been missing. I'm focused on where I'm going and what I'm going to get. Whew. I'm being that standout. I'm being that standout. I'm letting somebody know that God is a keeper. I'm letting them know that God is a way maker. Not only that, the people that's been struggling and they've been having some financial issues, I ain't had to turn no tricks to get what God got for me. I'm being the standout. I'm walking up holy. I'm walking up righteous before God. I'm standing on his word. I'm believing him for everything that he said concerning me. And here it is. There's this promise. The majority of the people are saying that it cannot be done. The majority of the people are saying that it's too big for us. I came to let you know there are some things that the enemy has told you, and he's constantly talking in your ear, telling you that it's never going to happen for you. You can't take that land. You can't walk in that dream. You can't walk that out. Do you know how many people that's already doing it? But watch this. But because I am the standout. Woo. I just need for somebody to type that over in the chat section. Because I am the standout. I don't care how big it seems. I don't care how impossible it seems. But because I am the standout, it's going to happen for me. Woo. I've been feeling bad about being the standout. I've been feeling lonely because I was the standout. But I need for you to encourage yourself on today and just know that because you are the standout, God is going to come through for you. Pastor Fran, how you know that? Because I want you to understand, if we look at the text, Joshua and Caleb, they are coming back to this promise 45 years after. Woo! 45 years after the original promise was made. I see you, Mr. Roy. You are the standout. You are the standout. I don't care how much the enemy tells us that we are not different. We are. We are the standout. No matter how much the enemy tells us that we can't make it, you are the standout. And you can do it all in God, through God. And let me back up a little bit so I don't get too ahead of myself. But the majority of the people said that they couldn't do it. Oh my God. Because they said that the giants in the land was bigger than them. And God sometimes purposed it that way. He meant for the thing that he put inside of you to be bigger than you. So you would have to depend on a God that was able to do it. Whew. Some of the dreams that God put on the inside of you, he knew that they was bigger than you. Because he wanted to actually show himself as being bigger than it. Oh, come on here. Oh my God, that was somebody's word. Yes, your dream is bigger than you, but your God is bigger than it. Woo. Somebody just said, Pastor Fran, that just helped me. Because you've been looking at how big it was. Oh my God, it looks like it's bigger than me. It looks like it's more impossible than me. But I need for you to know that your God is bigger than it. Just keep being the standout. And God told Moses, he said, out of the 12, I want you to understand that you about to go in some uncharted waters. You about to go in places that everybody ain't going. Oh God, this is why you got to be the standout. Oh my God, the enemy's been trying to make you feel bad about being the standout, but you being the standout has a purpose behind it, because everybody ain't going into that place because they don't see it like you see it. Oh God, they see your being a standout as a holdback. They see you being a standout as being deprived of some stuff, and they see they see your being a standout as being a deficit. But I came to tell somebody, you being a standout is nothing but your investment. Oh my God, it's an investment into your win. Everybody ain't going. Oh God. Because watch this. 12, 12, 12 went to go spy out the land. 2 came back with the same report. And only the 2 that came back as a standout were the 2 that went into the promise. Oh God, catch that. Ooh, ooh. There's a lot of people that see it. Oh God. I need for somebody to catch it. There's a lot of people that see it. But there's not a lot of people that's willing to be a standout. Oh God. Ooh. I'm talking to the people that's willing to be a standout. I'm talking to the people that said, I'm willing to go without some things that I really want so I can be the standout, so I can go where God has called me to go. I'm willing to be the standout. I've been going through the withdrawal symptoms. I'm willing to be the standout. I hear it calling me sometimes, but I'm willing to be the standout. I want to go there sometimes, but I'm willing to be the standout. I got to keep my mouth closed sometimes so I can be the standout. Whew. I got to do things I really don't want to do sometimes just to be the standout. And because Joshua and Caleb were willing to be the standout, they were the only 2 out of the 12. They were the only 2 out of the 12. Because God told Moses, he said, those other people that went along with the crowd, oh God, they gonna miss this one. Oh God. I came to tell somebody, this is why it's so important for you not to go along with the crowd and what everybody else is doing, because all you're gonna do is put yourself in position where you miss what God has already promised you. So don't feel bad about being the standout. Oh God. Because the 10, what they did was they started getting into the ear of the people. And this is why you find it in the scripture where it says, and they made the heart of the people. They started messing with the people. They started talking to the people. They started trying to convince the people. And I want you to understand that when Joshua got the promise, Joshua was 40 years old. Whew, this is going to help somebody. When Joshua initially got the promise of what God has spoke concerning him, he was 40 years old. I just want somebody to say Tik Tok, not the app. I'm talking about time. Just type it over in the chat section. Say Tik Tok. Tik Tok. Tik Tok. Time. Because now I want you to understand this. Now Joshua was 40 years old. I'm sorry, Caleb was 40 years old when he got the promise, but now he is 85 years old. Oh my God. He is 85 years old. Tik Tok. He could have easily said, I don't believe God is going to do this because too much time has went by. Oh my God. How can God do it now? I'm 85 years old. Whew. Oh God. Is God going to do it? Do you know how long 85 years, you know how long 45 years is? But I want you to look at what Caleb said. I want you to look at what Caleb said. Caleb said in verse 7, he said, 40 years old was I when Moses, the servant of the Lord, sent me from Kadesh Barnea to espy out the land. I brought him word again as it was in mine heart. He said, nevertheless, my brethren that went up with me made the heart of the people melt. He said the majority of the people, they started getting into the ear of the people, and it caused their heart to melt. He said, but I wholly followed the Lord my God. Verse 9, and he said, Moses sware on that day, saying, surely the land whereon thy feet have trodden shall be thine inheritance, and thy children's forever, because thou hast wholly followed the Lord my God. All he was basically saying was, because you chose to be a standout, you're going to walk in every promise that God has promised you. I came to tell somebody at Life Meets the Word, and whoever is hearing this message, that because you have chose to wholly follow the Lord your God, because you have chosen to be the standout that God has called you to be. You have fought through the withdrawals. You have fought through the tears. You have went through the hurt. You've went through the pain. You've even had to sit there and watch and gaze at other people be happy and have the things that you know that God has promised you. But you said, I'm going to still wholly follow God. I'm going to still walk according to the word of God. I'm going to still do this book. I'm going to still do what God is telling me to do. And sometimes I'm doing it with tears in my eyes. Sometimes I'm doing it while I'm gazing at other people, wishing that it was me, wishing that I had the full manifestation of what God has promised me. But nevertheless, my mind is made up, because I count it more valuable for me to stay in the presence of God, to stay in the position that God has called me to be in. So when it's all said and done, even if God don't do it, I have wholly followed him. But watch this. Verse 10, and he said, now behold, the Lord had kept me alive. Oh, I need for somebody to get happy right there, because you thought you was going to die without it. But I came to tell you, as you wholly follow God, if God got to keep you alive, he going to do it. If God got to kill the cancer so you can walk in your promise, he going to do it. If God got to overturn whatever he has to overturn, if he got to heal your shoulder, if he got to heal your back, if he got to heal your mind, he gonna keep you alive so you can walk in what he promised you, because you chose to be the standout. Oh my God, I hope somebody just caught that, because the enemy's been telling you that you're going to die without getting what you've been believing God for, what God has promised you. But I need for you to pick up verse 10 right there, where he said, God has kept me alive. Ooh, somebody need to type that over in the chat section. God gonna keep me alive to see this. Ooh, whatever I've been dreaming about, whatever I've been believing God for, because I've been wholly following the Lord. I don't want you to leave that part out, because Caleb said, because I wholly followed the Lord kept me alive. There was nothing that I went through that was going to kill me until I first saw the promise of God. So whatever pain you've been feeling, whatever you've been going through, whatever you've been thinking that was going to kill you and take you out before you got your promise, you got verse 10 that you can hold on to. You got verse 10 that you can stand on, because God gonna keep you alive to see this thing. If God said you're gonna be debt free, then he gonna keep you alive until it happens. Come on here. Woo. If God said you're gonna have your husband or your wife, he gonna keep you alive until it happens. Woo, he gonna keep you alive. Let me go back and read verse 10. He said, and now behold, the Lord had kept me alive. Watch this. He said, as he said. Woo. These 45 years. He said, it's been 45 years since I had the promise. Oh my God. He said, it's been 45 years since I initially received the promise. He said, ever since the Lord spake this word unto Moses, while the children of Israel wandered in the wilderness, he basically said, I saw a lot of people die trying to do this. Oh God, did somebody just catch that? Antonio, check it out. He said, I've seen a lot of people die trying to get this. I've seen a lot of people fall doing this. Oh God. He said, I even saw the 10 that went up with me and you, Caleb. Joshua, excuse me. He said, this is what Caleb is saying. Caleb said, Joshua, look, we done seen all the other people die out. Oh God. Because they didn't believe God. Because they didn't wholly follow God. He said, we done seen a lot of people tap out. I came to tell you, a lot of people that ain't following God, you're going to see them tap out. But God gonna keep you alive so you can see the promise that he promised you. I don't care who dies around you, you keep following God. I don't care who else you see tap out, you keep following God. I don't care what you see them do, you keep following God. You keep being the standout that God has called you to be. I don't care how much time has passed. I don't care if your situation is telling you that it ain't gonna never happen to you. Like I said, you got verse 10. He gonna keep you alive. You need to get up every day decreeing and declaring that God gonna keep me alive for this. He gonna keep me alive because there's a promise. And as I wholly follow God, as I continue to be the standout that God has called me to be, as I keep walking in his word, yeah, I'm fighting these withdrawal symptoms. I'm crying, I'm cringing some nights. I'm having to cross my legs. I'm having to grab my head and my neck, and I'm having to hold myself sometimes. But I'm gonna keep wholly following God. He said it's been 45 years ever since the Lord spake this word unto Moses while the children of Israel wandered in the wilderness. And he said, and now, lo, I am this day 40 score and 5 years old. He said, I'm 85 years old. As yet I am strong this day, oh God. He said, even though some time has passed by, and it looked like God wasn't going to do it for me. He said, basically, my faith is still just as strong now as it was then. Is there anybody that says it's been a long time and some time has passed, but my faith is just as strong now as it was when God even spoke it? I still believe God. Is there anybody that says I still believe God? I know it's been a year. I know it's been 2 years. I know it's been 3 years. I know it's been 4 years, but I still believe God. Whew. It's been 4 months. It's been 5 months. It's been 4 years. It's been 5 years. It's been 10 years. But I still believe God. It ain't happened yet, but I believe God. I ain't seen the manifestation of it yet, but I believe God. And because I choose to wholly follow and trust in the Lord thy God, whew, I'm going to see this thing. I'm just as strong now. And this is what Caleb is saying. He said, I'm just as strong now as I was then. Oh God. And he wasn't saying that because he was talking about being strong in himself. He was saying that because he said, I believe that God is a man of his word. Oh my God. Is there anybody that says, I believe that God is a man of his word? I believe I don't have to deviate from what this word is telling me to do. I believe that God is faithful. I believe that God is going to honor his word. And I believe that God is going to honor me because I'm in his word. Whew, come on. And I choose to follow God. I choose to follow God. I choose to wholly follow God. I choose to be that standout that God has called me to be. And I weigh my pros so I can prosper. Oh, catch this. I weigh my pros and I value my pros so I can prosper over my cons that will make me conform. Woo. And I choose this day and every day for the rest of my life to be the standout that God has called me to be. I'm sorry if it offends you, but then again, I'm not sorry. There's certain things I ain't gonna wear. There's certain things I ain't gonna do. There's certain clothes I ain't gonna put on. There's certain places I ain't gonna go. There's certain things I'm not gonna drink. There's certain things I'm not gonna eat. There's certain things I'm just not gonna do because I choose to be the standout that God has called me to be. And God is gonna keep me alive. He gonna keep me alive so I can see him make good on his promise.